Okay, Oppenheimer, it's finally here on physical media, and it was a pleasure to watch. It really was. I'm honestly looking forward to watching it again. I thought it was a much better experience at home than the movie theater, from even the visuals to the sound as well. I think it's much better. I think this movie is very deep, and I think that watching in a home environment where you are truly comfortable makes a movie like this more enjoyable. I think. I did enjoy it in the movie theater, but to be completely honest, I actually felt a little stressed watching it. Whereas at home, I could take it in much more. And things like that. I don't know how anybody else feels about this, but I really think that pretty deep movies like this, I think they're actually better at home. You got people eating popcorn around you and stuff like that, and which is part of the movie-going experience. But I tend to find that these ultra deep philosophical movies, you could say, like this, I just have more attention at home, and you can work things out in a different way and enjoy it in a different way at home. So I'm glad it's on physical media now. Physical media is really my thing. I don't stream. I have some streaming platforms. I'm not saying I don't stream, but I watch probably 99.9% of my movies on disc, right? I'm not watching them streaming. So and I'm just a fan of that. I really am. So I think this is a great release for disc as well, considering that it's a 100 gig disc, it's a 3-hour movie. There was a worry there for a second that are they going to be able to pull this off and have this actually look good? If this movie was released, well, at the start of the life of 4K Ultra HD, it wouldn't have looked this good. So this is really a perfect time where we're in the life cycle of 4K Ultra HD, where 3-hour movies can still look absolutely incredible. So I put out a review on Reddit, and I don't think I'm going to go through everything that I've said in the review. I will leave the link in the description if you would like to check it out. And the reason is because I actually started doing a video already, and I realized that, whoa, I'm probably an hour in already, and I maybe haven't even talked about the screenshots yet. I'm not quite sure how long it was, but I will be repeating myself a lot by then talking about the screenshots. So I think I'm just going to say real quick what I gave the review scores, and I said it was 5 out of 5 video and 5 out of 5 for the sound. I think this is a highly recommended release. I think it is a must-own. If you've got a 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray player, then chances are you like film. If you like film, I just cannot imagine you not wanting to pick this movie up. A lot of the people that buy a 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray player are people that are collectors, cinephiles, people that want the absolute bleeding edge. And for me, a movie like Oppenheimer is really synonymous with this format. So I just think it's a must-own movie that I think sounds incredible. I think it sounds better at home again than it did at the movie theater, and I think the transfer is just excellent. So, okay. That's about as long as I want to take discussing this part of it, because I do have quite a few screenshots and things that I'd actually like to talk about here. So I guess I could, let's touch on the black levels really quick. So let's close that. So as you can see here, this is them visiting Los Alamos for the first time. It is, well, basically it's a desert, right? And lighting this scene must have been extremely difficult. Yeah, I mean, it must have been very difficult. I don't know too much about cameras. I'm not really the camera guy or anything like that. But chances are they would probably have to increase exposure by quite a lot if the only light source was actually coming from the fire. I've seen this done digitally before, and it looked atrocious. So, you know, they've had, if you can see this 220 border here, to 1 border, this is pure black. This is 0, right? If you measured this, this is 0 red, 0 green, 0 blue. This, though, is raised black levels. And you can actually see here, there's more green in there, there's more red in there. And when you do this, when you see green, then that means there's limited blue. So, but this has had to be raised by quite a lot. Now, I assume if the exposure was lowered, you would get this now down to an inky black, but you just wouldn't be able to see anything. So I think this is why this has been done. However, in the same scene, they are visualizing, like, say, the stars, and they're talking about, like, you know, science and things like that. And then they have this scene. Now, this is obviously not, this doesn't have a border anymore. We have, this is an IMAX shot. And a lot of these special effects shots, I'll call them, from my understanding, I think they do them in a barrel, right? They get all of the liquids or whatever they're doing, like in a barrel, or they do them in some type of chamber or things like that, where things are a lot more controlled in their light. And this black here is practically 0 black. It's got like some blue in it and maybe a hair of red in there, but there's no green, and it just looks it looks very black. Whereas this scene, again, when you switch back to it, has that raised black. And look, I understand why they've done it, because of just, you know, the way this whole scene is lit. But to me, there's some continuity loss there. I like consistency a lot of the times, but I will say this is, film as a format, like what this has been shot on, this has been shot on film. So one thing to think about is, you know, the start of a reel of film is not the same as the end of the reel of the film, whereas if you shoot digitally, everything's the same all the time. It's almost sterile, digital, in that respect. And this is really just like, you could say, the ebb and flow of shooting at night versus, say, shooting in the day and things like that. But there is a difference here. And the only reason it really truly stuck out to me was the fact that this was in the same scene and the black levels were different. Other than that, I was like, okay, it's, you know, we've got raised black levels and things like that. Another thing is I have an OLED, so you can, I'm not saying you won't be able to see this on an LCD, but, you know, when things are not black, you can really tell on an OLED. So that would really be the only thing I picked up on that was, from a production point of view, off. But, you know, it is what it is there. But for me, the rest of the movie has a gorgeous consistency in that respect. So, okay, screenshots. I took a bunch. I will try and get through this, though, as quickly as possible, just with opinions and things. So, a couple of things. Yes, we have light coming in from the windows on the left here. And the first thing I noticed in my IMAX movie theater was the amount of light in these shots looks capped. And if you notice, especially movies on film tend to have a very limited dynamic range. And I do find this interesting. And it's actually a look that I now prefer. I much prefer movies shot on film than I do digital. Digital is in my opinion, it's too clinical. Blacks are obviously, depending on the color grading, of course, blacks can reach inky black, pure zero black, and, you know, whites can reach, well, wherever they really want to reach at this point. And I would consider digital camera technology, in some respects, maybe not so much, maybe not potentially resolution, but they're probably just about there, technically have passed film cameras. However, I prefer the look of film. To me, it looks more natural, it looks more organic. And having a limited dynamic range for movies, I think makes them look better. It's just, we don't need 10,000 nits in HDR to convey what we want in a film. So when I first started getting introduced to HDR, I was like, oh, nits. Oh, this is 4,000 nits. But now we're kind of very heavily into HDR now. You know, this has been going a long time. 8 years? When did it come out? 2016? Can't remember anymore. I know the format for 4K Ultra HD is maybe 8 years old, but it's well into it's well past its infancy though at this point, HDR, and I'm not overly impressed anymore by having just ultra high nit counts. And this movie as well doesn't have a high nit count. I think it's only about 184, roughly 200 nits, but it's specifically been shot for that reason. It's trying to convey history or a place in time that this would look believable. And you know, having a movie shot in a particular timeline with 10,000 nits just doesn't look right. This is just a slightly side subject as well, is I can't stand movies that are historical movies and they shoot them digitally. I can't stand it. One way to think about this is imagine shooting Braveheart digitally. No. Absolutely not. There's too much precision on a digital camera, and no, absolutely not. Just getting a little sidetracked there, but yeah, the nit count and the light is very close and tight, and you do see a lot of blowouts a lot of the times in whites, but it is done for a reason. So if anyone thinks, well, the dynamic range here and things like that, but I think I love the look personally. One thing as well to point out is with all this light coming through the window, look at the level of precision that has gone on, of detail, of just this font on the screen. There's a glow to this font mirroring what is happening on screen as well. So just the level of production and detail that has happened to make scenes look a particular way, even when they put fonts and things on the screen, is truly impressive. The level of focus from these cameras is truly astonishing. But what I will say about focus is for this movie, should I move on as well now? I'll talk about this. But the focus as well on this movie is astonishing. I find that the focus though is it isn't always focused, say, on a particular part of, say, his face, or it's almost a breathing focus. Some shots potentially go out of focus and some come in, and it's again, it's not clinically done, which I think adds to the believability of the story. You know, I really do. Let's move on. I don't want to spend too long on each one. Great performance, Robert Downey Jr. Just truly incredible. And obviously one thing you will see here is, yes, these shots are in black and white. So now film grain, for me, in black and white scenes tends to look slightly heavier than the color scenes. However, the grain resolves perfectly. I actually prefer the look of the black and white shots to the color in that respect, because it does provide grain, nice grain texture, and it's not turning into digital noise, which is just, to me, one of the first things in a 4K Ultra HD transfer I look for is, is the film grain blocking up anyway? Is it moving in a digital way? Because this movie, Christopher Nolan's gone out of his way to make this look like film, look a particular way, and this is the best way to think about it: analog. Having the digital process here ruin this and mar this would not be good. So the work that has been done to make this retain this analog look of film is astonishing. It really is. It's just incredible. Another thing I'll say as well while I'm here is I don't know what it is. I cannot tell you what it is. But movies shot on film are lit better than digital. I just, every single scene is just lit so well. I've noticed this now time after time after time. For some reason, as soon as you get a digital camera, the lighting is never this good. It's never as good as it is on film. Now, I know on film you actually have to light there and then, because what you capture on film is what you actually have. But again, I think this goes... with Christopher Nolan movies, it does show that he does this time and time again. I think he lights his movies absolutely gorgeously. So, yeah, let's move on a little. Yeah, focus. So again, throughout the movie, this movie has intense focus. You could actually say closer to digital in some respects, because this type of focus looks very... it does look very, you could say modern. It does. But it's very portrait. It's like portrait focus, where everything else is blown out, you know, and it's focusing on a particular area. But sometimes the focus is here, and then is there. It's impressive again. Like it's almost breathing. Like it's really happening. So, again, great focus using that style of focus here. I think this is an important moment in the movie. This moment in the movie shows that Oppenheimer, yes, was angry, and he was, you know, hey, I'm going to hurt someone or maybe even kill somebody here. But he wakes up in the morning and thinks, oh my, what have I done? What am I going to do here? And it really shows that here, you know, Oppenheimer is not a murderer. You know, he is not. That's not who Oppenheimer is. And I think this is an important moment in the movie, because going towards the end, yes, we all know what happens, and we get to that point. But the thing is, this lived in the idea of what he was creating, only lived in his head. It lived in his mind, and it wasn't real until it was real. And when it was real, it was too late. So when it was too late, the smoking gun, I guess we'll say, had already been shot. And it was only then when he knew, oh, what have I done? Similar to this, how do I stop it? Unfortunately, he couldn't stop this. The train had already started, and there was no way of getting out of this. But I do think an important moment here, and it just shows that he was not ready to murder people. He was not ready to murder his teacher, you know. So, okay, yeah. Great moment between Strauss here in Oppenheimer. And one thing Oppenheimer says here, he says about being, Strauss says about being a shoe salesman, and Oppenheimer says about being a lowly shoe salesman. And Strauss, I could tell he took offense to it. His ego got in the way. He sounded as though he'd been trodden on all of his life, and he was very aware of his own status in the world. And for someone to call him a lowly salesman or shoe salesman, you could just, he had a chip on his shoulder that of his status again in the world, in his place of who he was. And I actually, like this scene, I felt so, like watching it again at home, I felt sorry for him. I felt sorry for him that his life had been, he'd gone through life this way where the opinions of others mattered to him so much that if they didn't see him in that way, it hurt him, you know. And in some respects, there is a lot of things to be said here as well about the male ego, about how things can really affect you as a person by what other people say to you and how they affect you. You know, I mean, one thing you could say, men could be very spiteful by taking damage by, say, another person, right? And in the end, that could be one way you could look at Strauss here. He actually becomes very spiteful to what is happening here, to Oppenheimer at the end of the movie. Now, Oppenheimer isn't the nicest person to him. That's obvious, right? He's not. But I just think this is very interesting. And again, I felt almost like a little sad for him here, because, you know, it just seemed that life had pushed him down. And even the smallest comment by Oppenheimer here, a lowly shoe salesman, he fought back against it. That comment, you know, I just find it interesting. Black and white again. Black and white on 4K Ultra HD just looks so good. Now this is where we are getting into pin sharp territory, and the level of detail I think is stunning. It really is. Gorgeous, truly gorgeous. We will have, can't really see it in screenshots again. You have to see things moving with film grain, but we've got resolving film grain that is perfect. It's all, you know, just every piece of it. We're not DNR smudging any of this. You know, this is true film grain here that's happening in these shots, and it's tremendous. So, nothing. So, I guess going forward here, nothing really to touch on in a lot of these screenshots. But a couple of things to be said is with the color grading / color timing in mind. A lot of oranges really stick out to me. Very, very, you know, they're actually quite strong. Potentially a little overdone in some scenes, I felt. But you know, it's a look obviously that Christopher Nolan wants, but might have it later on in one of the scenes where they're at the party. It looks slightly orange for my taste, but you know, again, an interesting shot with the light coming in from the background. But I'll say this, like the lighting here and the way the scene is lit, I never see digital movies lit this way. Even though we've talked about this, about having, say, a low nit count, the movie to me, it looks brighter than a digital movie. It just, I just can't really explain what this is, but you know, again, we have limited dynamics, but things appear brighter and more natural looking than what I would see anywhere else. There is glow coming from these windows too, and even here, slight color bleed as well. All camera artifacts from film. Digitally shot movies tend not to have this, and they actually put this back in post to make them look closer to film. So, you know, I find this interesting. So, yeah, this is probably getting closer to the party. And again, we've definitely got this hue, orange hue going on. I think it is slightly overdone, but we have grain here as well, grain structure, and as well, and it is resolving perfectly. Focus again, heavy focus on the character himself, Oppenheimer. I think that is actually a focus of the movie too, where things come into focus based on his viewpoint, and a lot of the times we are not bothered about things on the outside. I think that is why a lot of this has been done, to have this type of focus for this movie. This is one of the shots. I think this is slightly overdone. Because once they got to the party, I was like, this seems a little hot, this color grade. So, you know, I can't say that I love it. That this wouldn't be my style. But you know, it's a look Christopher Nolan wants. But you don't have to be a lover of Christopher Nolan movies, unlike every single thing that has been done in his movies. I think this whole scene here, I think faces to me looked a little overdone. This was the same case actually though in the movie theater. This is not like just well, is it because it's on 4K Ultra HD or anything like that? It's not. It looked exactly the same in the movie theater. That is the benefit of definitely watching. I watched it in 2 movie theaters, and I saw the same thing. The second time around, I really started to. When I went to the first time, I was like, I'm just going to enjoy the movie. But when I went for the second time, I went there specifically to analyze a little more about what is going on in shots and things like that. And yeah, not so much of a fan of these scenes, just from a color perspective. But again, we do have gorgeous detail, and the scene still looks really good. It's just a pinch hot on color, I think. I mean, look at the difference between this color shot here and just, you could say, a normal shot. So this, to me, when Groves came in, I was floored by the detail on his face. Just absolutely staggering. I've probably used that word too much already. I've got to find a new word. So incredible detail. So much detail on the pores of his skin. I couldn't believe it. And this is where I first thought, I'm like, the detail looks even more than what I saw in the movie theater. So sure, we have a smaller screen, 77-inch OLED compared to I don't know how big it is. That obviously makes a huge difference. Another thing though, projectors are softer though than OLEDs by quite a bit. So you know, my OLED really does bring out an insane amount of detail here. It's professionally calibrated as well. So yeah, very impressive. We are again using a very highly focused lens here, and some part of people's face could be out of focus, while other parts can be in focus. So I love the look, and I think it works well for this style of movie. So yeah. I wanted to get here, I just wanted to get some dark shadow detail here and what is going on. I see this with Christopher Nolan movies, and the way things fade down in color. yeah, I just find it interesting. There is a lack of blue again in many Christopher Nolan movies. Actually, there is a lack of blue, and you can tell that here. The way things fade, there is a lack of blue going on here. There's more red in these fades. So I just find that interesting. Yeah, nothing truly specific here. I was just capturing some shots. Yeah, all lit well and everything like that. Gorgeous detail. And again, I have maybe touched on this. I actually maybe didn't touch on this yet. A ringing so cameras tend to ring around, say, hard objects, but here, because of this style of focus, we don't really see hard camera ringing very much. It's only when there's like kind of mid-range shots that you potentially even could see it. And I felt as well that the IMAX shots were smoother than these shots. Now, I don't know if these shots specifically pick out more fine detail or anything like that. I'm not really too sure on the differences there. But I did find that these 220 shots compared to, say, the IMAX shots did look more... They felt as though they were more detailed, but I didn't know whether it was from, say, camera ringing and things like that. Incredible performance here, Josh Hartnett. Amazing. What Christopher Nolan can do with his actors is amazing. Because I wouldn't typically figure him for this role, but I think he did it absolutely amazingly. So, and black and white shot. There's a glow. There's a glow here on his shirt that you can actually see in black and white. I think he got the black and white shots amazing. They look so good. Again, look at the lighting here. We are probably getting right on the edge of crushing here as well. But again, that limited dynamic range is for a purpose. It's a look that was needed, I think, for this movie. Very good. Excellent shot. Gorgeous IMAX shot right there. And again, IMAX shots tend to be slightly smoother than the 220 shots. If anything, the 220 shots have a grittier look, I guess would say. And even then, they might be different from the black and white shots compared to the color shots as well. So just some interesting things that I noticed. Yeah, again, maybe lighting. So it's the lighting at night and that this type of light that looks potentially slightly overdone, I felt. But again, slight glow here as well on the light. But is there any breakup or anything like that in dark areas? No, there's none. We're not breaking up into digital noise. We have grain, which is really a form of noise, but it is not breaking up into blocks and looking digital in any way. So that from that point of view, I just cannot floor this. So this was look at this, another example of kind of the light being blown out and limited again for a reason. I notice it time after time, and I'm like, yeah, they are definitely going for this look. Really, in one way of looking at this is you're almost trying to mimic an older camera would do this, where the light is so small, the range is much smaller than, say, we have today. And I just find that really interesting. So one way of thinking about this is, in musical terms, is a lot of audiophiles want their music gone back to the original master tapes. Original master tapes are analog. And when you think about music on original master tapes, the dynamic range of tapes is probably only around 65 dB. They added, say, Dolby noise reduction, and I think you got about 10 dB more dynamic range out of the sound. But the actual dynamic range of things recorded on tape is actually not that high. And when you think about it, CD, which is 94 dB or 96, is much higher than tape could ever be. So when you think about, like, now in the video world of film is actually very similar to analog master tapes in some way. They have a very limited window in their actual dynamic range and the amount of light that they can actually capture. This is, again, why it might explain the Dark Knight scene. Not the movie Dark Knight, that night scene where they're camping, and we actually are having to raise exposure by a certain amount to make sure the light from the campfire actually doesn't blow the whole scene out. That could, again, this whole dynamic range thing could be why, and it's because the style that they went for with the movie. So, yeah, gorgeous shot, really, really nice. Yeah, I mean, the photography is second to none. It really is. It's maybe apart from some of those night shots, again with that orange light. Apart from that, it really does reflect this natural beauty. I think is what they're going for, and an aged look. So now, again, this is another interesting thing with focus. Where is the focus point here? Because the building behind it is almost in focus. So where actually are we focusing at this point? Oppenheimer is really leaning towards being out of focus, and the focus is here, right? And even on the buildings as well. So again, I noticed this my second time viewing is, where is the focal point of the actual camera itself? I do think it was done with purpose, though. I don't think it was like, hey, why is this particular part maybe unfocused? I do think there was a reason for it. So, IMAX shots, again, in my opinion, do look the smoothest. Does it mean that there's a lack of detail there, though? It's hard to say whether I feel as though IMAX is actually softer than the 220 shots with, I believe they were 65mm, and these are 70, I think so. One thing in the movie theater, you didn't really notice the difference between those shots and the IMAX shots so much, because I think what they do is they actually make sure the 220 shots are raised, or the 65mm shots, they're raised slightly, so they're very close to the top of the screen in an IMAX theater. At least that's how they did it in ours. And the bottom, if there was a border, say at the bottom, you couldn't really see it. So, gorgeous shot. Iconic shot from the trailer, the announcement trailer. This was actually in black and white when it first came out, or on the trailer. I've seen an uncompressed version of that, and it looks, it looks excellent. Really, really good. So sound-wise, there's a lot of shots like, say, this, that cut to Oppenheimer thinking about sound. Not sound, just, the way atoms are going to explode and things like that. And they can be intensely powerful on a surround sound system. Like, my subs were getting destroyed basically by the sounds of what was happening here. It really is impressive. This shot right here was just as Oppenheimer and Albert Einstein I'm bad with names, were walking to, you know, a lake here. They were talking, and there's a part, this screenshot is where there is a ripping and tearing of sound, just with massive bass. And he, you know, Christopher Nolan does this a lot throughout his movie. Yeah, that focus, we've got that focus going on again. And again, that's going through the whole movie. Yeah, great shot. IMAX. I noticed the difference between IMAX and the 220 shots. Obviously, a lot more at home than I did in the movie theater. This moment with Pash, where what's his name? Groves is talking to Oppenheimer on the train about Pash, and basically he's letting Oppenheimer know this guy's dangerous. You do not want to mess with this guy at all. Like, he will literally have you killed. And I didn't touch on this. I didn't really get this in the movie theater, but they say here, like, that Pash was sanctioned to France or somewhere else, and they asked who did that, and he was like, Groves did that. And I think Oppenheimer looks at him, and even I thought, Groves saved Oppenheimer's life from Pash, because Pash would not stand for anything. Again, he would take you out if he had to. And the fact that I was like, whoa, I think he saved his life, because if he'd have kept in here, Oppenheimer probably wouldn't have been here. So I found that was interesting. Gorgeous light again. I just don't see digital movies lit this way. I mean, please tell me if you do, because I just don't see them lit this way. Natural light. There's probably, you know, there's some lighting coming above us, but, you know, the lighting is believable. And, you know, when you throw digital color grading in the works with all of this going on, it just wouldn't have worked. So yeah, it really is a look I love, and I love the look of Christopher Nolan movies. So, and yeah, this is when we start to realize the power of what is actually happening here with this weapon. And the home theater enthusiast with 2 subwoofers wanted me to hear this scene with it being the most biggest bass you've ever heard of an atomic weapon going off, a bomb going off. After watching it again though at home, it didn't need it. To be fair, we have already heard the sound of absolutely massive bass throughout the movie, and to do that again, I just didn't think was needed. Plus, we always have to remember we are from the perspective of this one person, and the one person was not out there. They didn't hear it until it came towards them. So I think this is really about perspective. Another thing is just because you can doesn't mean you should. Christopher Nolan has all this power and with sound at his fingertips, and yes, he could have turned this into an absolutely gigantic, massive explosion on screen. But in years to come, when you watch this movie over and over again, and you know, you really look at this, you will, I think, you will understand and see that this was done brilliantly, this scene. It was more impactful this way. It is more memorable this way because it doesn't have sound than it would be if we just had a massive, another massive bass moment, right? So I think this was done with class, this whole scene. I really do. You could say, from, say, this perspective, you know, maybe is there any way we could have got the explosion bigger? Yeah, sure. But I still think it was done very well. So yeah. Very soon, Oppenheimer is celebrating, yes, but you know, because the theory and the theory, yes, is one side of this, but yeah, a bomb has now been created. We've seen the power of this bomb, and really the worry now starts to show on Oppenheimer. And I just think that was excellently done. The way it does play out. Just another thing though with this scene, it does show from a military. You could really say from a military and a government point of view. Once they've got what they want, they will leave you in the dust, right? And you know, Groves here was like, you know, why would you want to come with me to wherever they were going to go? You know, what we've got from you has been done. We have used you up, and we've used your knowledge, and you know, we've gave the government 2 aces here, and it's not for you to decide anymore. You know, that's when he realizes the potential problem. Yeah. Again, though, really good black detail here. We are not breaking up into added noise or anything like that. It's just perfectly done. Very quickly, just touching on this scene. Oppenheimer can't even view what is on screen, because what they're showing them is the damage that his weapons, you could say, the weapons that he made, have caused to the people that it was used on. And it's devastating. He can't even look. And the thing is, now this is turned, like with the Apple scene, this is now turned from theory into I've hurt people. And at the start, the type of person he was, it was showing that he is not that person. That's not who he is. So to see this with his own eyes and try and hide away from it is I think he may have felt a lot of shame of what he'd actually done here, and without knowing it, he'd just run into creating this weapon with no badness in his heart, but it just happened that it was the right person at the right time to create this and make this happen. But yeah, he could not. I don't think he could really live with the idea that that's what he'd done. So I think this is why in the hearing he does, you know, he goes through the hearing, because he does, in some ways, he wants to be punished for what he has actually done. Another great shot, good focus here. Again, we do have very minimal ringing here and things like that. It is obviously film. I'm really just staggered by the movie consistently looking a particular way without breaking up for 3 hours. So yeah, this guy is absolutely ruthless. Absolutely ruthless. He keeps going on. Great shot there. Excellent shot. With that light coming through just here. Incredible. I mean, it's just great. It's great photography. It really is. Yeah, Oppenheimer's wife here, she really goes on one here. She really gets her own back on that guy. That's a good scene. How many more shots have I got? I don't want to go on too much longer. How many is that? Yeah, okay. We're going to be at the end here, because you know, after a while, this shot's good. This shot, you know, I'm going to be repeating myself a lot here. So very, very important. Obviously, this scene is extremely important because he was not mad at Strauss, you know, and that's the thing. We get so self-conscious about what things are happening around us, about how others treat us, and whether it was us, you know, and he just really got the wrong end of the stick. He really did. And just how things played out, I mean, you can see it from his perspective, but it wasn't real. It was really in his mind that it was happening. You know, Einstein was not mad at Strauss for any reason whatsoever. You know, what did you do to him? Did you turn, you know, did you turn him against me? You know, so some really nice shots here as well. I think this ending is incredibly powerful. Once you see the rockets and the missiles and things like that, and you know, talking here and realizing, you know, we've done it. You know, we've actually done this in a different way, but the countries and planets will be killing themselves because of what we've done, and the knowledge that we hold. Just very, very powerful. I do love the ending. Yeah, that ending, I could watch that ending over and over again. And yeah, the weapons that we're making here are now killing the world, and we're able to kill each other with it. It's just very, very powerful. And this is the last frame from the movie. It's his face, worried, you know, trapped in his own worry about what he's done and his part in this. So, focus again though. Look at the focus on this camera. We have his hat is not in focus, but these parts of his hat are. Certain parts of his face are not focused. I just think it's beautiful photography. It really is. The rain, my camera might be here, but there's rain splashing off of his hat. Another scene, another part of this, just before it comes in and zooms in, you can actually see the reflections on the lake, from the lake, on his clothing. I was like, whoa, that looks... I was like, is that off? But I was like, it's the reflections from the lake, and it looked really good. So yeah, and that is the end. So a great release, exceptional release on 4K Blu-ray. I didn't think that they could do it. This was Universal's first movie with Christopher Nolan. I didn't really know what to expect. I'm not sure, like encoding wise, if they went and outsourced anything, or Universal had all of the in-house stuff that was needed to make this movie look absolutely as good as it possibly could. But because I, based on Christopher Nolan's other movies from, say, Warner Brothers, some of them looked... I didn't love the look of some of them. You know, and I think even Interstellar was Paramount, and I didn't think it looked its absolute best that it could. I think Dunkirk was just about there. It was right on there. I think it's a gorgeous looking movie. I think Tenet was the best Warner Brothers transfer 4 Christopher Nolan movies. I think for me that was definitely his best. But this one from Universal has taken it in a whole new different way. I thought it was flawless from start to finish, from an encoding point of view. And you know, again, we're not DNR scrubbing grain or anything like that. Yes, sure, there is a difference between, say, the color scenes and the black and white scenes, but the grain is resolving in both versions of the shots and things like that, with the grain being more heavier in the black and white. Wonderful job. Great release. And yeah, for me, if you've got a 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray player, this is the movie you want to own. There's lots of different versions to own. You've got the Steelbook, you've got the Walmart version. The Walmart one, which one is it? The Icon Edition. I actually just picked this up. This is, because I was like, well, I said to my brother, I'm like, can you just pick me up the Walmart the version? Because I'm like, I like the cover. And I didn't really kind of understand the whole packaging or anything like that. Like when you open this up, you've got all the pictures, the artwork, and when you close it, you've got these pictures and things like that. I opened it and I was like, wow, I was staggered at how good this actually looked. So I'm very happy I picked this up. I think they're sold out now. So yeah, the Icon Edition, this is really... Look, if Walmart, because the Best Buy aren't really, not really, well, they're not going to be supporting physical media anymore. So if Walmart are here to take over and they have this style of packaging, or, you know, they're more willing to do collector's format style packaging like this, I'm all for it. So, you know, I made an account at Walmart. You know, it's not really my store that I would typically go to be perfectly honest. But look, if they're supporting physical media, then I will support Walmart, right? If they're doing some special editions and things like that, I will get stuff there. Unfortunately, there just wasn't enough of these made, and they sold out basically in the first week. I think we got 2, and I think a customer wanted 1. Which we got, or we may still have 1 in stock. But I said to my brother, I want this. I actually have all of them. I have the Steelbook as well, because I just bought all 3. I said to my brother, Mark, just pick me up all 3 of these. I love the Steelbook too. That is really nice. So, but again, I think this is sold out too. So you should be able to pick up the slipcover standard edition though, relatively easy. But we're seeing that stocks are even for that are actually in some stores, like they're running low. Even on our distributor, they're actually running quite low. So I wouldn't wait for a deal on this. For me, it's like it's a mandatory own. If you own a 4K player, you know, I really think it is. So, and I think again, it's a more enjoyable movie at home, and I think it's because the context or the content in the film is so deep. And I just think it's almost too deep for a movie theater experience, and you take so much more from this movie watching it at home and being in the comfort of your own home. I just enjoyed it, right? So yeah, excellent. I did make another video that was much longer than this, so I'm almost like not remembering what I've actually truly talked about, but I do think the dialogue and the balance and everything like that was much better at home, and I had no issues with dialogue being muffled or not being able to be heard versus, say, the music and things like that. So it'd be interesting. I would be interested to see how other people like review this and if they remark on it, because I do agree with everybody else that in the movie theater, it's actually difficult to hear dialogue versus the music being played. But that was not the case on my system. But I have, I have gone pretty. I've gone pretty hard on trying to get my system to sound as good as it can. So, if there is any calibration and things like that you can do to your system before you watch this movie, I would definitely try and do whatever you could to make this sound as good as possible. Yeah. So, I appreciate you watching. Have you picked this movie up yet? I'd like to know your experience though with the movie. Number one, what did you think to the movie, and was your experience watching it on 4K Ultra HD different to what you thought it was in the movie theater? Because I was stressed watching this movie in the movie theater. I thought it was honestly a stressful movie watching experience because of the hearing and just the way it was done, and everybody shouting at him and things like that, and it is, it's building up to this big thing. But at home, I just took it in a much more. I just enjoyed the movie just much more at home. So, plus it was also an enjoyment watching something that had been produced so well for 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray. So. Yes, I do think 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray is the premium format. I think for me it's better than Kaleidoscape. And one of the selling points of Kaleidoscape is you don't have to get up to put your disc in. Well, I like to do that, Yes, you almost have unlimited data rates on Kaleidoscape, probably up to 100 megabits per second and things like that. You're not restricted by size and things like that. Sure, I'll get that. The sound is obviously going to be exactly the same. We're either DTS uncompressed, we're Dolby Atmos uncompressed and things like that. So in that respect, we're always going to be the same. But the thing is, as encoding quality improves, which it is, every single 6 months to a year or whatever, the encoding quality for this format is going to improve. What that means is that even at these lower, what I would consider, say, lower bit rates, say 60 megabits a second and things like that, over the years, things will constantly get even better. So I think we can expect to see 4K Ultra HDs look better and better even in the future. So now I'm not saying you could get this much better than what it actually looks like now. I think they've done as much as they possibly could to get this looking this good. But why I think this is the premium format, and really the format that you want to own this on, is because of ownership. Owning this on the Steelbook, owning this on the Walmart Icon Edition, and having the slipcover and having a product in hand, I think is valuable. In 2023, yes, I do think that this is valuable. I see the value in physical media over a digital library. I do not like picking my movies out on a screen and pressing right, left until I find the title that I want. I don't like that. I do not feel attached to what I'm doing. Having it in hand, I feel more connected to the experience, and that's what this is. Like the movie theater experience, that is an experience within itself, and going to the movies, right? It feels like an experience, and I lose my connection with a movie at home if I'm just picking through a digital library like that. I don't know what it is. I'm sure other physical media collectors can resonate with me on here that it is just not the same. Sure, if this is on Kaleidoscape, right? They might be running 84 megabits per second, because that's what I encoded this movie at, just to test it. I couldn't get higher bit rates than 84 for this movie, and the reason is because of the grain and things like that. But let's say this movie on Kaleidoscape was 20 megabits per second more. I don't think it would make any difference whatsoever. When you have an image that is visually lossless in the first place, putting more megabits per second onto it will not yield any better picture. I've practiced encoding for a while now, and yes, sure, I do encode at bleeding edge bit rates, right? I encode at like 98 megabits per second, but there is always a point, as soon as you get to this point, where you just cannot get any more out of an image. I use bit rates that high for redundancy, but when you have images that look this good on disk, you know, it's a great job. It's just an incredible job, and owning this on physical media is just a joy for me, and it always has been since the Laserdisc days. So I'm not ready to drop my physical media collection for a digital collection. That's just not going to happen. And as long as people are able to put movies out on 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray, I'm going to be buying them. So that's just the way it is, right? I've even started buying CDs again because I miss the days of what I used to do is when I used to live in England, I used to go to HMV every Friday and pick up a new CD. And I'm just like, I miss that. I actually miss doing that. And why it is because streaming my music on Spotify is just not the same. Sure, I do it a lot, right? And you listen to stuff on YouTube and things like that, but it is just not the same as owning it physically. I don't mind if 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray is the last physical format, because as I've said before, encoding quality and video quality is getting better every single year. All the time it will improve. I mean, think about this. Look how far Blu-ray has come as a format. When it was first released in 2006, if you go back and see some of those transfers, they were bad, really bad. But I think around 2013, 2014 or so, Blu-ray transfers were very good. There's only a few people on Blu-ray that really push, I think, their encodes and stuff like that nowadays. But that format can still look absolutely incredible as well. So, yeah, look, for me, the physical format is not, for me, it's not going anywhere. And I would continue to buy my movies on physical disc for as long as I possibly can. If they're available, I will be buying them. So, yep, I think this is a great physical release. And again, if you've got a 4K player, please support it, you know. I really encourage you to support releases like this because Christopher Nolan supports this format and he supports physical media. And I think this is why the releases with the Steelbook, with the standard release and even the Icon edition have been so successful. They've sold out instantly. People want this stuff. So I think it's been handled very well by him. And yeah, I've been talking for a long time now. I'm kind of just waffling on at this point. So I'll end the video here. I do appreciate you watching, and I'd like to know your experiences with this movie, say versus even the movie theater. You know, did you take more away from it? Because I certainly did. For me, it was a more enjoyable movie on disc than it actually was in the movie theater. So, yeah. Okay, thanks for watching, and yeah, let me know what you think to the movie, the transfer, the sound. You know, the sound is 5.1. We're not in Dolby Atmos and things like that, but I loved it from the sound point of view, from the video point of view, and the story. I really did. Great release. It's going to be on my top 10 this year, no doubt. So thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye.